Welcome to this segment on the Splunk search pipeline. It's important to understand how Splunk deals with your search string that you put in. And this has implications as to the performance of Splunk as well. So let's get the basics down. And Splunk relies heavily on that Unix pipe operator. It's the key right above your enter key on most US keyboards. This is a funny bumper sticker that Splunk sells on their website. It says, Splunk, put that in your pipe and Splunk it. Here's how the search pipeline looks at a very high level. We have a lot of data over on the left side, and then just the data we want in the format we want over on the right side. A Splunk SPL search string is really a process of whittling down the data until you get exactly what you want and in the format that you want it. Let's take a look at a mock search. The big part of the data there on the left side might just be a broad metadata search. Host equals my host, source type equals CSV. And then we might include some keywords to sort of narrow it down. Maybe we're only looking for fails or failures, or locked, or if we have specific fields we're looking for, like user equals some username, we can narrow it down even further. Then we're doing a pipe, and a pipe really means take all of the data before it on the left side and then do something with it. And this is where we input our command, common commands, count, sum, eval, etc. And then we're doing another pipe, and this is where we make our visualization or our statistical table that shows the data we want in the format we want it. Looking at a real search, and don't worry too much about the mechanics of the search, as we will go over SPL in more depth in another lecture, but let's break this down. We have, first of all, source type equals win event log security, event code equals 4625, and user equals star. That's all before the first pipe. We're searching for a specific source type, win event log : security. That is the security portion of the Windows event logs. Event code 4625, if you Google that, you will see that it is a failed login attempt that Windows registers. And then user equals star. That really means that we want Splunk to pull in all of the users. We don't have a specific user in mind that we're searching for. And then we're finally building either a table or a visualization. In this case, we're doing time chart. So we're building a line chart that spans, or in other words, it takes a sample of the data every hour. And we're counting by event code by user. So that means that we want the time chart to display time on the x-axis, and we want to know the users that are most in violation of generating that event code. In other words, we want to know the users that have the most failed login attempts. In other words, we're piping the previous data into that time chart command. And we're using the span 1 hour statement, which means I'm forcing the chart to have 1 hour increments. And that event code, I specifically searched for event code 4625, so it's only going to bring in that event code. If I did event code equals star, wildcard, then it would bring in all event codes. And here's what that time chart looks like, where we have the count of failed logins by user, and Splunk builds us a nice line chart, and it color codes all the users, and we can do other things to it too. We can say, like, we only want to know the top 10 or the rarest 10, the users with the least amount of failed login attempts. We can also just build a statistical table using the stats command instead of the time chart command. And it would look something like this, where users on the left side and then count is on the right side. And of course we could sort as well by count. Including the default field of _time will then allow us to make more sense of this data by putting a timestamp on each of the events. So here we're saying we want a statistical table, and we want the users listed and the number of failed logins, and we want our table with that table command. We're saying we want our table to show the first field will be time, the second field will be user, and the third field will be count of that event code. And then we're going to sort by time. So this is a use case in which we would want to know the most recent time a user failed to log on and how many logon attempts that user had. So putting that exact search back into our search pipeline, we can see that we're getting a lot of data up front, win event log security, event code 4625, and every single user. If this is a large organization, then there might be a lot of users. Then we're doing a pipe, stats, count, event code by user, and then time. And finally, we are visualizing it with a table that has the timestamp, the user, and the count of event code, and then we're sorting by time because we want to know the newest, most recent violation and how many violations there were. So that's just an example of the Splunk search pipeline, and I hope you're really pumped for learning a little bit about SPL. We'll dive into basic SPL, we'll look at time, we'll look at time chart, we'll do some intermediate SPL as well. So please stay with me, I'm really excited about this.